tested week starts December 1st. So if you're doing it, do the right thing. Call 866-EXAM-HIV. That's 866-EXAM-HIV. HIV. Live with it. Get tested. Want to be free from HIV? PrEP can help. Taken daily and with other preventative measures like using protection, regular testing, it can reduce your risk of getting HIV by over 90%. Love free from HIV with PrEP. Learn more at michigan.gov/HIV-STD.
Most people think that depression is just sadness, but in reality, there are many factors that contribute to it. People feel hopeless, self-loathed, isolated, stressed, anxious, emotionless, and guilty. When people have depression, it inhibits them from functioning on a day-to-day basis. Depression is a real disorder. So the next time that you think someone with depression is overreacting, think again.
Stuck in reverse.
Happy day, everybody. This song is by Terry HBK. You can find him on YouTube.
I would never switch up, I would never go.
It's called Thankful.
I was taught to hurry up and get close. But life showed me never ever trust the soul. Same person getting maybe called wrong. That's why I keep my circle hella small, bro. That's why I stopped texting people when I'm home. Past month I'm at my all-time road. But I'ma keep my head up, got them pain, bro. Like the faded, I can see it on my dress progressing.
Hey, Diane. How you doing?
They had to pay to show you how to have your own reflection.
It's gonna be a really good show.
In the trenches with me, yo, lady.
Us women go through so much and overcome so much.
Counting on me while lady wait.
They're also saying it's 3 years for the crime and then 5 years for the innocent. So I was looking at 8 years.
I hope you shared this, Diane.
I would never switch up, I would never go.
Share this live, you guys.
But life showed me never ever trust a soul. Same person getting maybe called wrong. That's why I keep my circle hella small, bro. That's why I stopped texting people when I'm home. Past month I'm at my all-time low. But I'ma keep my head up, got them thankful.
Living with internal stigma. How many of us know about that? This beautiful young lady, 18 years, living with stigma. Not anymore, though. So I talk about that overcome.
I would never switch up, I would never go. I was taught to hurry up and get cold. But life showed me never ever trust a soul. Same person getting maybe called wrong. That's why I keep my circle hella small, bro. That's why I stopped.
It's actually my nephew. This song, Terry HBK, on YouTube. All right, you guys. Happy day. Happy day. This is Positivity D discussion. You have to remember that HIV still exists. You have to get tested. You have to use protection. Because if you have contracted HIV, you can get on medication and you can live a better, healthier life. Today, Having a beautiful, amazing, strong, ambitious young lady on, young woman, young lady who has overcome so much. I'm gonna bring her on now. Her name is Thamicha Isaac. Hey,
Hi, everybody.
good to have you. It's so good to have you.
Thank you for having me. Yes, it's a pleasure to be here.
I meet so many people on Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter. I had somebody ask me today, where do you find these people at?
Social media is the way.
Yeah,
Social media is the way.
it is. So let's get started. I want to read a small paragraph here of some of your bio. You have an amazing bio, but I chose a part that I want to read. Um, in Tamisha's pursuit of learning whom she was as an individual living with HIV, Miss Isaac set out to find her voice, learning what to do with her second chance of life, driven to succeed in spite of the circumstances of her past and HIV positive diagnosis. Tamisha found love again, and out of those relationships, her sons of her relationships birthed two handsome sons, waiting to be the version, wanting to be the version of herself, and the best mom and provider for her son. Tamisha discovered a new passion in outlook. Those babies give us so much joy, don't they? They really,
Absolutely. They do.
they
They do.
really.
And the older they got, the more I fall in love with them.
That's
Yes.
beautiful. I'm going to ask
Which
you
you
this.
had the honor of meeting tonight.
Right, he's so handsome. Hi, Deirdre. Okay, so who is Tamisha? Where do you live? Where are you from? We're gonna have a conversation between me and you. Tell us where you're from.
Absolutely. So Thamicha Isaac is a young lady, young woman, mompreneur, um, businesswoman, activist from St. Martin and by way of Brooklyn, New York. So I am originally from the island, the beautiful island of St. Martin, and I currently reside in Brooklyn, New York.
How long have you been in the U.S. in New York?
Ooh, I've been living in America now for about 19 years.
Oh my! Oh, you've been here a long
Yeah,
time. A long and
yeah.
still in New York the whole time?
No, I um I went to Massachusetts for a year. I did medical assistant here, and then I came back to New York. Then a few years after that, I went to Atlanta, and then I came back. And then after that, I went to New Jersey, and then I came back. So I leave, but I
Yeah,
always come back to Brooklyn.
you sound like me. I don't mind moving around. I really don't. I don't mind moving around. Um, let's talk about. Do you want to talk about your childhood, or we can go on and we can talk about just
About what? I didn't hear you.
I said, would you like to talk about your childhood, or we can go ahead and just start at internal stigma?
Oh, sure. We can talk about my childhood. Absolutely. So I had a pretty interesting childhood, actually. Um, for as far as I can remember, my mother has always been a breadwinner, the provider, the sole parent that I had up until I was like 7. And that number 7 is a very important period in my life because at 7, my stepfather came into my life, who I consider my father. Um, but also at 7, some traumatic things started happening to me. So my mother was always a provider. She took care of everyone. She is the last child to my grandmother out of 10 kids, I believe. She is the last, but she is like the ruler. Like my mother, she's the Aquarius. She's headstrong. She rules everybody. She's in control. She controlled everything. That was my mom. And I think that's where I get my strong go-getter spirit from her. That fighter in me, I get that from her because she never backed down from any challenge. She never backed down from anything. She fought her way to the top, and she's beautiful, and I'm grateful for her. At 7, though, a neighbor started molesting me, and that started from 7 until I was 12 years old. And I never said anything to anyone. I didn't know then. But as I was writing my story and writing out my journals, and I realized something. A few weeks prior to that molestation act, he attempted to play drown me in a bathtub as I was taking a bath on my porch by my grandmother's house. He doused my head in the tub several times. And every time he would let go, I would look around and I wouldn't see anybody. And finally, he revealed himself, and it was him. That was the fear, and that was the first. That was the beginning of what was to come next. At 12, fast forward to 12, one day when he called out to me to come to his house, I told him that I wasn't coming to his house. I was actually playing with my younger brother and my cousins. And I was like, if you ever reach out to me again, I will let my uncles know exactly what you're doing. So get away from me. Leave me alone. And he stopped. Like it stopped. He never bothered me again. He never bothered me again since that day. But then I'm older now. I'm 12. And then that has been happening to me for so long. I became promiscuous. I had this infatuation with older men. I had internal daddy issues that I didn't even know that I had. And I started going out with this man that was 10 years my senior, moved out of my mother's house and into a house with him. Everything was okay for, a couple of months to a year. And then after that, things just start getting crazy. One day I was going out. I was all cute. I had my hair in blonde weave, and I thought that I was. I went upstairs to go out with my god sister, who's also my cousin. And here he was downstairs, talking to his boys. And I went up to him, to greet him and to let him know that I was going out. To my surprise, this man turns around and says, well, you think you look good? And I couldn't understand why he was saying that. And he wiped my makeup off my face, slapped me. And I just walked away. I didn't do anything. I just walked away, went back upstairs, fixed myself, and I went to my uncle's house and wait for my cousin to come and pick me up. So that was time that he actually hit me, right? In public, and I didn't do anything. That night, when I came back home from that event, when my cousin dropped me off, I saw my stuff from my apartment on the pavement of the street downstairs of my apartment where we lived. And I'm looking at these things on the floor, and I'm like, they look very familiar. And inside, something is like, do not go in that house. Leave.
So he threw your things out while you were gone.
Yeah, he did. That's not the only thing he did. So I go upstairs. The door is open. My apartment door is open. I go inside. The house is in disarray. I had a glass table. It was shattered. The fridge was on the floor. Whatever groceries was in it was all smashed up. I go in the bedroom. He's in the bedroom, drunk like a skunk, laying on the bed with my clothes full of bleach, ripped up, pictures ripped up. And I'm like, oh my God, my sixth sense is like, leave the house, call her back and tell her to come get you. And I don't do that. I go back in the living room. I set up a little space for myself and I lay down on the couch to go to sleep. I did fall asleep because I was awakened with him digging in my chest with a fork.
Oh. Let me ask you something. How long were you guys together before the abuse started?
About a year, 6 months to a year.
And you never seen any other signs besides that first time when you wiped your makeup off? Because sometimes we pass the
No.
signs off. I know I did. I know I did. Yeah.
No.
Oh, so you
I
woke
was
up
just
in
I
your
was just in this mind frame of I'm with this handsome person and everybody wants him, but I got him type of mentality, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you woke up
But that
with
night
a fork
in my
your
chest.
literally in your chest.
No, yeah, digging in my chest. Literally. There's a tattoo covering those scars, but they're there. And that wasn't all that he did. We fought, he beat me up black and blue, and after that, he had his way. He had sex after beating me up.
Mm.
Looking back, I'm actually happy that I got away and I left the way I left because I probably could have been a billboard or one of those campaigns of domestic violence where I didn't make it.
How long did you
I
stay?
would, I, I, I would a year after that. I would leave and I would always go back.
Yeah.
I would leave and then he would apologize and promise he wouldn't do it again. And I would go back and it was all a lie. He couldn't help himself. He couldn't help himself. The last time that he put his hands on me, this time I'm bleeding everywhere and he's doctoring me up. He calls my job and he tells them I can't come to work because I'm sick. Someone told my mom about, what was happening, and my mother called him and she had a conversation with him. And then she had a conversation with me and she was like, if you don't leave this man, I'm gonna bury you. Like, you're gonna die pretty much. And I've been planning my escape from him because on several occasions he did say that no one wants me, no one will ever be with me. He's the only one that loves me. And if I ever try to leave him, he will kill me. On several occasions, he said that. And I believed him. And so I started planning my escape and, planning to leave. I had two choices, either to go to England with the rest of my school friends at the time or come to America. And my uncle came to visit and he came to look for me, my father's brother. And he came to my job and he was like, hey, I went to your mom's and she told me what's going on. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing with yourself? And I told him my plan and he was like, okay, well, scratch the first plan. You're coming to America with me and your aunts. Like, that's it. that was it. And I called my mom, told her what was going on. We bought my ticket. And the next thing you know, April 15th, 2002, I was on at 8 a.m. American Airlines flight to America. And I left that abuse. And I've been here ever since. Yes. Yep. Crazy thing though is a year after I left, so this was in 2002 that I came here. In October of 2003, I just went for a routine visit at the doctor. I asked my aunt to take me to the doctor, and she was like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I've been here for a year, and I just, need to get checked." And she took me to the Department of Health clinic here in Brooklyn. And when I went on the paper, they asked if I wanted to get tested for HIV, and I checked yes. And I got tested for HIV. I had a pap smear. They did a full panel, and they gave me a paper and said, to come back within a week or call for my results. If anything, they'll, contact me. So I went home. A few days later, they called to ask, and they were asking for me. And I answered the phone, and I was like, "Hey, speaking." They were like, "You need to come back into the clinic. Your pap smear came back, and it's abnormal." So they asked me, "How soon can I come back?" So I told them that I could actually come back the same day that they called, because it was early in the morning. So I went that afternoon to the clinic, signed in, wait for my number to be called. When my number was called, I went back in this room. I was sitting down at a corner desk, and the counselor comes in the room with a folder. He opens the folder, slides the folder in front of me, and walks out. On that folder, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but the thing that stood out the most to me was that big red positive sign. So in my mind, I'm like, what does this mean? Like, what does that mean? This positive sign? Does this mean that I'm positive for something? Am I positive for HIV?
You just were handed a folder, and then they walked out, and that was it.
Yes.
So what happened after?
So he comes a few minutes after, he comes back in. At this time, I have a lot of questions, and I'm already emotional. I'm crying, and I'm like, what does this mean? And I'm pointing at the positive sign, and I'm like, does this mean that I'm HIV? This is me asking this man who's supposed to give me my diagnosis, does this mean that I'm HIV positive? And he doesn't respond. He doesn't say a word. He said he didn't say a word. The only time I heard that man spoke was when he called my number to come in the back. He just shook his head yes. And then he's out the room again. This is in 2003, people. Not that long ago.
So when you asked him, does this mean I'm HIV positive?
He just shook his head yes.
I have never, out of all the shows that I had anyone tell me that somebody passed them a folder and then still didn't say yes. They just nodded their head and then walked. Did he leave after that?
He left. Yeah, he did. He left the room and he went and got a nurse. But now that I'm looking back, probably I was his first positive. Who knows? Back in those days, training wasn't as intensive and informative as it is now. You know what I mean? So
unbelievable.
He went and got a nurse. So a black nurse comes in the room. I'm hysterical. I'm crying. In my mind, I'm gonna die. I am not gonna live. Nobody's never gonna want me. So all of the negative things that narcissist said to me started replaying in my head. I'm like, yep, he finally got his wish. Nobody's gonna want me now. For real, nobody's gonna want me. And I'm crying. I'm like, and this is what I'm saying to the nurse. I'm like, I'm never gonna have children. I'm never gonna be with anybody. I'm never gonna be married. And she was just soothing me, and she was talking to me and saying, HIV is no longer a death sentence. She's going to refer me to a great place that's going to take very good care of me. She gave me a list of referrals. Out of all the numbers that was on that list of referrals, only one agency called me back.
Oh my God, bless you.
We're talking 2003, people. 2003.
Oh my goodness.
One agency called me back out of everyone that I've called. The agency that called me back, at the time was called Haitian Women's Program here in New York. Today, they're called Diaspora Community Services. The caseworker that was assigned to my case, it's like she was God sent. She's my earthly angels and one of my greatest friends to date.
Right.
And she's forever a part of my story, because if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would be here. Her name is Simone Ross. Simone saw a 19-year-old woman that was full of life ahead of her, and she breathed life into me. She made sure that I went to classes to learn HIV one-on-one and overviews, to know exactly what was happening in my body. She was planting seeds that I didn't even know that would take root and grow and bear the fruits that you guys see now. And she was my caseworker for a very long time, until she moved on to another position. And when she moved, I've never had another caseworker like her. Never, to this day.
There's always one that's a blessing to someone.
Yeah.
You know, there's always somebody that's a blessing to someone.
Yeah. And
so
I was very suicidal
and moved to New York. And a year later, you found out your diagnosis. And what about the ex? Have you ever heard from him since then?
A funny story about him. So when I went back to St. Martin, this was like 2009, 2010, 2012, around there. My kids were babies, so I had just had my second son, actually. And I went back home. My friend from England was home, and we was just having a blast. We was just so happy to reconnect after all these years. Mind you, my friends don't know at that time. They didn't know anything about this. They didn't know that I'm HIV positive. They didn't know nothing. And we went to a location. I'm not going to name the location, but St. Martin people who is on this live knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say Lolo's. Me and my friends was at the Lolo's, which is a place where you go to get local food. And my friends and I went to get local food. And when we were leaving, it just so happened that Mr. was driving around the corner and we crossed paths. So when he realized it was me, he reversed his car, stopped his car, and we exchanged a few words or whatever. And I spoke to him and I said what I said, and he said what he said, and he walked off. But he drove off and I walked off. But it didn't end that way. He said, "Oh, Thamicha, stop it. You know we share something." Say what now? Say what now? And that moment, I knew.
He knew.
He knew.
He was letting you know. That's what he was doing.
He did what he did on purpose in that moment. And I've never said this before. This is the first time that I've disclosed this. I've never said that before. My mother know about this. He did that. When we were leaving, he was like, "Oh, stop it. You know we share something." Really? Okay. Well, thank you for acknowledging that you actually did what you did.
HIV to you.
And it's like it's a prize to you somewhat. But whatever. Anywho. Yep.
So you're not the first one. We know that, right?
Huh?
I said you're not the first one. You know, we know that. But it's always shocking when someone admits it. It's shocking when someone admits it.
It's scary and it's sad.
Very scary. And so finding out at the age of 19 that you are now HIV positive. For 18 years, you lived a life of not disclosing, not sharing your status. You lived a life of internal stigma. How did you deal with the internal stigma? And just talk about, just because I know a lot of people who live with HIV and they put their pills in different bottles so nobody won't know. They lie about why they're going to the doctor. I mean, there's a whole lot of different things that people do to hide their diagnosis. Did you do some of those things to hide your diagnosis?
So my internal stigma manifested itself with depression, anxiety, suicidal attempts, isolation, toxic relationships, toxic behaviors, toxic conversations, productive or uplifting or empowering or happy that like you see me now.
Yeah.
It was none of that sort. My stigma was to the point where I wanted to destroy any and everything that came my way that was like even my kids, like for the first couple years of their lives, to me, I was a horrible mother. I was horrible. And I'm not scared to say that. I was a horrible mother to them because I did not give them the love, the attention that they needed when they were much younger.
Because you were dealing with
And
your own issue.
with my own itch. Yeah. Yeah.
And see, I'm glad
And
I'm glad you said that. For people, especially for people who are not HIV positive, I think it's so important for them to understand what an HIV diagnosis does to a lot of people. You give up. You basically give up on yourself. And then you don't even realize that you're giving up on yourself. Yeah, that depression.
not only do you give up on yourself, you give up hope on everything. You give up on life, even though you wake up every day until one day something clicks.
That part.
Right?
That part.
Until something clicks and you're like, hey, what am I doing to myself? What am I doing to these little people that I was blessed with to nurture,
Right.
to guide? What am I doing? What am I doing? And last night I did a presentation and I talk about the 5 P's, right? That kept me and that I actually started practicing: prayer, preparation, purpose, passion, and provision. Those 5 things, those are my principles that I live on now, today, because the things that I've endured and the toxicity that I have put out in the world, I do not want to be that person. I no longer want to attract those people, nor do I want to be that person anymore. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results. And I no longer wanted to do the same thing over and over and expecting different results without changing my actions, without changing my mentality, without changing the way how I see and view things, without changing how I see myself. I had to discover who Thamicha Isaac is. Who is Thamicha? What does she want? What does she love? I had to learn how to love myself for real, for real.
Right. Right. That's a tough, It takes a lot of work to learn how to love yourself, especially for someone who never knew how to love themselves. It takes a lot of work, and for
Listen,
any woman out there listening, it you can do it. You can love yourself again. You can smile again. You can be happy again. You can live again. It takes time. Everything takes time, but just from where you were at to where you are now is beautiful. It's amazing. Especially when we live in a place where mentally, where we feel that there's no hope, life is over. You're like, fuck it. I don't even care. I don't care. And so it's like you're just living, but you're not actually living.
and the anger. Let's not forget the anger. The anger, the pain, the disappointment, because you feel like a big disappointment. Disappointment to yourself. You feel it like you're a disappointment to your family.
Yeah.
It
It's
comes with so much. It comes with so much. Being diagnosed with HIV for me, prior to being openly positive, I felt like I had to wear a mask. That sometimes when I would go to the club with my cousins and my friends, I would literally just drink my pain away. Like nobody knows this. I would drink myself to oblivion, to the point where my cousin will be calling my aunts and saying, we need to get her to a hospital because she's just throwing up her guts. I don't eat nothing. I was literally 97 pounds soaking wet. Literally.
yeah.
You put yourself through so much unnecessary pain, right? On the other side of living your truth. Prior to that, there's so much pain, so much guilt, so much shame, so much that you keep inside that sometimes you can't even share with others. You can't share with people because you're scared of being shunned. You're scared of being, pushed away. You're scared of being the talk around. You're scared of what people is gonna say, and you're scared of how people will react to you and to your family. That
Let me
fear
ask
is
you.
real.
So, 18 years, no one knew, not your family. Did you have anyone close to
Besides
you?
a few of my family members, no one knew. No. My mother knew, my godmother knew, a hand my cousins, my aunt here, my aunts here, but nobody else knew.
Let's talk about the beautiful sons you had and that relationship and how you decided to go ahead and have children. And
Oh
were
wow.
you worried? Were you worried? When you became pregnant?
So with my first son, his father and I met at my old job, and we were just hanging out, nothing serious. And when I actually got pregnant, I didn't know that I was pregnant. I thought I got food poisoning.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So when I went to the doctor, I was like, I think I got food poisoning. And the medical assistant told my doctor, actually, she was like, do tests on her because I don't think she has food poisoning. And lo and behold, the pregnancy came back and it was positive. But I was very scared. I'm going to be honest, I was scared. I was nervous because I didn't know what was going to happen. And the first thing that came to mind was to actually have an abortion because I didn't want to bring child into this world and transfer HIV to them, you know? And My son's godmother friend, me and her had a discussion. She was like me. She was like, she was like, things is different now. She was like, let's go to the doctor. She actually went to the doctor with me, and we talked to my doctor. We took a question, and the doctor said that I could absolutely have this baby. He actually changed my regimen that I was on, because the regimen that I was on prior to being pregnant was actually going to be very harmful to the fetus. So what he did is he switched my medication and put me on something that was more healthy for me and not harm to my baby. And he was like, you got this baby, and this baby will be HIV negative. And I trusted the process. I prayed and prayed and prayed and did exactly what they asked. Went to every doctor's appointment, and both my sons are here, and they're very healthy, and they're HIV negative. So is their fathers. So that was actually that was a beautiful moment for me.
What
To
year
be able to
that?
actually children as an HIV.
What year was that? When you
Repeat that.
Your first son. What year?
So my first son, I got pregnant with my first son in 2005. So 2 years after my diagnosis, and I had him in 2006. 2 years after.
And it's. I'll say you were blessed. I was blessed. Because there were women still, the doctors, the physicians are not telling them that they can have babies, that they can conceive without passing HIV on to their babies. So that's a blessing, because there are still women
It is.
today,
I'm grateful.
who
And I'm happy for my
children because of that. And now they're over 40, and now they can't have it because they weren't told the truth. Because they weren't told the truth. Many of them just didn't feel we should have any children because we are HIV positive. I don't think it was because they thought we were going to transmit HIV. You have some people that say, oh, people living with HIV just need to stop having sex, period.
I don't win now. Or back then, right? I used to think I should just go live under a rock, because uh people and their misconceptions and the things that you hear and the things that they say to you, it makes you want to go off on them. And it's like, y'all are so uneducated, and y'all don't know nothing. Y'all don't know facts. Y'all don't know no facts about nothing. And y'all are the loudest. Go sit down somewhere.
Yeah. Go sit down somewhere. Let me read some of these for you. So Claire says, I'm glad now we have early intervention specialists. These are people living with HIV trained to help in the delivery of an HIV diagnosis. She also says domestic violence causes a lot of shame, and it is hard to open up. Thank you, sister, for sharing. Your partner, I can't even see that. I don't know if his past behavior was this choice and does not reflect you. There's light at the end of the tunnel, sending love. By the way, you look like people in my family. I am from East Africa, and I am a. Can you read that, Thamicha? And she just says, "Let's do a DNA." She said you have to do a DNA to see if you're related. Melvin says, "Thank you for sharing." And then Claire says, "Sister, you were not a horrible mother. You were living in trauma and pain." Yeah. And then
That is the truth.
Dorina says, "I am very sure it is very terrifying to know you're pregnant and positive. God is good. Claire says, Lady D, tell that beautiful sister of mine to connect with me on Facebook, please. I need a DNA.
Sure will do.
Give me your information, Claire.
Love it. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
Claire also, Dorina also says to help speak to and consult people who will find out they are positive. Great stories. She said great stories. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Rena. Thank you so much. Thank you all. You know, the crazy thing about all of this, right? When I was first diagnosed, when I got saved, I heard this loud and clear as day. I was not given HIV for me. I was given HIV to help lead people. But for so long, I ran away from my calling because I was scared. I was scared of what people would think. I was scared of the shame that I would bring to my family. I was scared of what this would do to my mother, her only daughter. I have 3 brothers, and I am the only girl, you know, and it's not until God stripped everything away from me, the comfortable home, the job, everything, to the point where I was rock bottom and I had nowhere to go but up. And in that moment, he was like, are you going to do what I asked you to do now?
That part. That part. People don't see it. They don't see it. He can tell you the same thing and show you over and over again, year after year after year. You don't listen. I always say this to Misha. I always say, we follow what we want because it's more comfortable for us to do it. We follow what we want because it's more comfortable. Even though we hear that internal voice telling us that's what we're not supposed to be doing. We just keep, like you said earlier, doing the same thing and expecting a different result is not going to work. And it's not going to happen. And the results are never going to change. So I always say, follow God's steps and listen to him.
He will make a way for you that, man, I swear, it's like in 2015 and 2016, he was like, oh, you're not listening? I'm about to turn the heat up. I'm about to turn the heat up because I told you to do something and you over here doing your own thing because you're comfortable. All right, let's make you uncomfortable. Let's see what's happening.
And that's another thing.
And let me tell you something.
Go ahead.
And the crazy thing about that is when I released all of that, my family wasn't ready. They wasn't prepared. They didn't even know what hit them. But in that moment, God had already equipped me. So when they felt like I did something wrong and I destroyed my life, God was setting me up in places and things that was elevating me. And it was like, wow. Today,
Yeah.
they all are proud of me. They all happy that I did what I did, even though they didn't agree with what I did and how I did it.
Well, it's always
Sometimes,
that way. You know, it's always that way with my family. I didn't have that have them feel that way. But you know, I hear a lot of people living with HIV who are more afraid of what their family's going to think, and instead of feeling what's going to make you happy. And so you just finally says, I don't even care anymore. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing it for me. And that's exactly what you did.
I was slowly dying inside. I was slowly dying. I was dying a slow death that nobody knew of. On January 10, 2018, that was the last time I attempted to kill myself and ended up in a hospital for 7 days.
Yeah. The pain.
7 days.
The pain. The pain.
There goes that number 7 again.
Mm.
And, you know, I am actually living my purpose right now. I'm doing what God called me to do, and I'm happy doing that. I'm happy bringing awareness. I'm happy making gift baskets and doing things in my community to uplift and educate people on what it is to be HIV positive, and also to encourage that young girl who just got a diagnosis of HIV and think that her life is over to see me and know that no, honey, your life is not over. Your old life is dead, but a new one is just beginning.
It's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling. And we are here to give back, to help, to inspire, to motivate. And it makes you feel good doing it. It makes you feel good doing it. And then in turn, you're making somebody else feel amazing. So you're doing that. And I'm so happy that I met you. I really am so happy that
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, and here I am 3 years into living my life openly positive. And prior to this, I didn't know none of you ladies, none of you, none of these um conferences, seminars, webinars. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know none of these things existed. And now here I have a plethora of sisters, Sarah Queen
I
sisters power that
amazing.
I absolutely love. Like Deidre and I have some conversation. Like she's my big sister.
Oh gosh,
Lisa,
she's so happy. Just so
you
happy.
know, like
I mean,
there's so many sisters that I've met on these past 3 years that I literally we actually have great conversations. Like we talk about HIV stuff, but then we talk about other stuff too. We're entrepreneurs. We're doing things. We're motivators. We're educators. We're teachers. Get you a positive person in your life. The ones who's healed, okay, and they're living their lives out of love and not out of pain. Because that's
right,
another topic for another day. Advocates who are here going about advocating in pain and not living in their authentic true truth, right?
right.
Like you guys are all amazing. I swear, you are all amazing. I am happy that I've met you guys. I'm happy that I'm openly positive. Not only am I living my truth, but I'm connecting with other like minded women who are on this journey with me, and I'm not alone. And that is an amazing feeling for me that I'm not alone,
That's a great.
because for so long I felt alone. I felt alone to the point where me and my family had such a disconnect that the isolation, the walls, they didn't understand me. I didn't communicate with them how I truly felt, and it caused a lot of friction. And now here I am back to my back to myself. I could finally say I truly, truly, truly love my family. I love my family wholeheartedly. I love my children, and I truly, truly love the woman I have become. I am in love with me. I swear. But I didn't always feel that way. I
Right,
hated me for a long time. And when you operating out of that space, you can't see clear. You can't think rationally. You can't do things intentionally and impeccably.
right.
You can't.
No,
And
no.
now,
Let me let me
huh?
let me read some of these really quick because we have about a few minutes.
Okay.
Let me read some. Okay, so Dorina says to help speak to and consult. Okay, we read that one. She said great stories. Dorina says you're beautiful. She says my sister was also
Thank
afraid,
you.
but once she realized she was put here to help, she soared. So proud of her. So proud. That's my twin sister. Thank you, Sissy. Melvin says, Amen. God get all us a job to do to educate others. Dorina says our family loves unconditional, and you are not the virus. Stacy says 7 means completion. That's what she said it means. It means completion. Yeah. Ginger says we are not alone. And you know you are not alone. Somebody else said you are not alone. It's a great, amazing
I love
feeling.
y'all.
Yeah, to live with HIV for so long and not have anyone that can understand um, what you go through mentally. I was there. There's a lot of us that were there, and it's a dark, sad, scary place to be by yourself. You know, yeah, it's not fun being by yourself, living with a virus, because that's what it is. That society shuns away the people who live with it. So
Yep.
you are absolutely beautiful. You are
Thank you,
absolutely.
Dee. So are you.
Um, follow Thamicha on Instagram at MIIZ Misha 721. Both of the M's are capitalized. I just put it there if you guys can see it. Follow her on Instagram at capital MIIZ, capital MISHA 721. Oh, and we didn't even talk about your organization. What are we doing here? She has an organization as well. You can follow her organization at Openly Positive. Talk a little bit, just really quick, talk a little bit about your organization before we go and why you felt the need to start it.
So my organization is called Openly Positive, and Openly Positive was birthed in 2018 while I was in hospital. And that I am going to be everything that I needed when I needed someone. I needed an advocate for me when I couldn't advocate for myself. I needed someone to pour into me the way how Simone poured into me, for someone else on an ongoing basis. For so many organizations that I've been a part, I've been to group support. I feel that these group supports that they had, it didn't really represent me. And no offense to the LGBTQ community and ally, and I love y'all, but everything surrounding HIV was catered to them, and it wasn't catered. There was barely anything catered like me, and I wanted to see more of me, and that's because I also wanted to encourage Black women and after your diagnosis. There is life after a diagnosis. You can inspire, you can live a healthy and happy life after your diagnosis. You have to make the conscious decision to get up and make a choice to live every day. Because every day I get up, it's a choice for me to live and live my best life. I am going to be 38 at the end of this year. And I am going to ball. Y'all are going to be like, she needs to go sit down somewhere because she's doing too much now. But I am going to ball this year. Okay?
I love it. I love it.
I'm telling y'all now.
Now,
so Openly Positive is not just about HIV, but it's about living your life, your best life, whatever that looks like to you.
For you. Thamicha also does lives on Instagram. Talk to everybody about that really quick. I don't want to go without sharing the stuff we didn't talk about. And you can follow her on Instagram with that. It's up there. You guys see it.
Yes. So I do IG lives every Thursday with a positive, a person living with HIV. You guys can always reach out to me in a DM and if you want to be on there, and I'll send you an email. We can get it up. I also have those live go on my website and on my podcast. Everything openly positive. So my website is www.openlypositive.com, and I just had a new by my little brother. My baby brother helped me with my website, and I'm super excited of it. It was launched on World AIDS Day, December 1st of this year. Check it out. And I also have a donation button there. You guys can donate. When you donate, let me tell you what you do when you donate to Openly Positive. Let me tell you where your donation goes and what it's for. So your donation is for me to do. I want to start doing travel testing parties. I want us to normalize getting tested for HIV. So what your donation will do is allow me to buy my own testing kits from Biolytical, which is an organization out of Canada. Those test kits, for a box of 50 test kits, is $650. Okay, $650 is for the test kits. I want to buy a case for me to do my own testing parties, and also to give gift baskets to a woman who's positive in the community. If you know who she is, you can email me. We can secretly just say, I was thinking about you, I love you, and I create baskets and do gift baskets just to show love. So all of those things are on my website, and that's where your donation money goes for now, until I get grant funding. And I am a 501c3, so whatever money you give, I will write you a letter, a thank you letter with my EIN 501c3 number, where you can deduct that money from your taxes and claim that back. Nothing bogus over here.
Thank you.
I know I'm too much.
So glad to have you. Now, before we go, give everybody a motivational, inspirational, something that's on your mind right now before we go. We'll close out of here.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna leave you guys with a poem that I read last night. It's from the Gill, and it's called "Her Name Will Be Fearless." And in all the stories my daughter shall hear, it will not be princes that slay the dragons, but little girls that believe in magic, with big, brave hearts and even bigger dreams. She will learn to rely on her own sword in every battle, in every struggle, in every war, because she will learn how to devour every single monster from their very core. And the name of that poem is called "Her Name Will Be Fearless."
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited for being here. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate you.
All right, you guys, I'm going to close out, but I forgot. I didn't actually forget. Let me call off the names. Who I was supposed to do this last week, and I did not have a show. So I would like to call out the names from the show from November 12th who shared that show post or shared the show. Here's the ticket drum, and it will be Hernice Roberts, Aisha Scott, Deirdre Johnson, Michelle Harris, Brian Jones, and Melvin Wright, who shared. So I'm going to go ahead. You guys can see it a little, but their names are in here, and I'm going to go ahead and spin it around and pull a name. And you will win. I'll mail it to you. The Straw That Broke by Tassanet, a beautiful woman who wrote this book. She has several books, but I'm going to mail you this book. She is a woman living proudly, beautifully, and thriving with HIV. And I'll send you this book. So let's pull the names out. Let's see who won. And I appreciate you guys. If you shared this week, I may have prize for next week. So share this live. Aisha Scott. So Aisha Scott, I'll get in contact with you, and I will be mailing you this beautiful book by Tassanet. Okay? I would like to read something that I wrote earlier today, about an hour before the show. And it's for all you amazing women. We are women with strength, unimaginable. We overcome obstacles with a smile and never stay stuck. Many of us experience partner violence, abuse, homelessness, trauma. We sometimes must decide that sex work is a way to survive, and that's okay. Some of us are women who are HIV positive and deal with the stigma from society that does not treat us as equal, especially internal stigma that has made a lot of women stop loving themselves and being the person that they should be. Black women is the highest rate of HIV diagnosis. And we have to reach all women, all Black women. And then there are other health issues that we deal with. When you see us, you would never know that we have been through what we have been through, because we keep our heads up and continue to figure out how to get through whatever it is. We are the voices of change, ladies. And that scares those who want to keep us silent. We must come together as one and stop talking about it. I say we are resilient, powerful, amazing, and a force to be reckoned with. Believe in your strongness, your determination to grow, your perfect perseverance to climb high and achieve every single dream you see right in front of you. I love all of you, and we are strong because we are women. We are strong because we are women. So, I have to put these in because I always have to share some links with you guys in case you need it. If anybody would like to know about HIV criminalization laws in your state, you can go to HIVlawandpolicy.org, type in your city, state, and zip code, and it will give you those HIV criminalization laws in your state. Another organization called SERO Project, SERO Project.org, is also another organization that talks about HIV criminalization. You can go on there and watch some beautiful, amazing videos from people who have been criminalized. I at one time was for HIV criminalization until this beautiful woman named Thamicha. I joined a meeting that they had, and it changed my whole life mentally when it comes to HIV criminalization. That's seroproject.org. If you are looking for HIV testing in your state, you can go to hiv.gov. You can get so much information off of hiv.gov, not just testing, but there's so many things HIV on hiv.gov. I want to give a shout out always to some organizations, positivepeoplenetwork.org by Alicia Trammell, co-founder, positivepeoplenetwork.org. You can go to her website and check her out. You can also check out Janet Kitchen's organization, positivelyu.org. Both of those organizations are out in Florida. And there is also another one out of Florida, Ariana Center. Ariana Center is an organization for the trans community. You can find her on Facebook, or you can go to arianacenter.org. And of course, I can't forget to let you know that if you are living with HIV and you stay adherent to your medication, you become virally suppressed, which means undetectable. U equals you. A person living with HIV can no longer transmit HIV to their partner if you stay adherent to care. The same person, or the same doctors and physicians that told you you can transmit are the same ones that are telling you you can no longer transmit. And I got that from my brother Brian. I love every single one of you. This is Positively Deep Discussion. You have to remember that HIV still exists. You have to get tested. You have to use protection. And if you have contracted HIV, you can get on medication and you can live a better, healthier life. Love you guys. Have an awesome and amazing Saturday. See you next week.